Hey, who remembers PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I should have given you more warning. Here, use this bucket to collect your spontaneously projected vomit. Basically, someone high up at Sony, probably dressed like Emperor Palpatine, looked at the success of Nintendo Smash Bros. Games and said, hey, we've got a bunch of exclusive IPs as well. Why don't we make a game like that? And then one of their minions with a hunchback and a Peter Lorre voice said, yes, master. It's just that, one, Nintendo have a much wider and more diverse range of characters, and about half the cast of our game is just going to be realistically proportioned white dudes. And two, Nintendo have this inbuilt one big happy clappy family dynamic that we can't really replicate because we're evil, emotionless corporate shitheads, and any attempt we make is going to have a strong vibe of forced bonhomie, akin to one of those face-saving family photo shoots politicians do after they get caught with a male prostitute in a dollar store bathroom, at which point the Sony higher-ups zoned back in and said, so what you're saying is we need to rip off a different Nintendo game. And that, I assume, is the process that led us to Astro Bot. Astro Bot is a new PS5 exclusive, which is rather unusual in this day and age in that it's a mascot platformer, and most of those went the way of Betamax in the 32-bit era. A mascot platformer in about the most blatant sense as well, in that it's literally about a little Sony mascot piloting a giant sentient PS5 through space, who gets antagonized by a generically evil big green alien who is presumably still very mad about lack of retail availability. And so we have to go through a bunch of platforming levels reassembling the PS5's components and rescuing a whole bunch of other little robots, about half of whom are cosplaying as characters from PlayStation games. So for example, in one level we might find a little robot dressed like Ellie from The Last of Us, and once rescued they hang around in the home base mimicking some iconic action made by Ellie, such as stabbing a heavily pregnant woman to death. The characters are always referred to by coy nicknames, and the games they're from are never identified, which on the one hand let me flex my know-it-all gaming insider stiffy by identifying the more obscure references like Vib Ribbon and Incredible Crisis, but on reflection I wonder if this might have been a legal necessity. Sony's tacit claim of ownership is a bit questionable on some of these. A bot dressed like Lara Croft, a bot dressed like Ryu from Street Fighter, and then of course there's the entire game being dressed like Super Mario Galaxy. And there it fucking is, sing the Sony fanboys. Another biased reviewer dismissing it as a Mario Galaxy ripoff. Kuh, I expected better. Okay, explain how it's different to Mario Galaxy, Sony fanboys. Downvote. Look, let me put my memory cards on the table, okay? Astro Bot is a very good game. Shocked scream, all heads turn, someone drops a glass. It seems to be a rare case of something actually benefiting from corporate backing, in that it spent all the money that got pumped into it hiring world-class talented people who know what the fuck they're doing, not paying for the executive producer's 3 forced abortions. It's a highly polished, fun, frolicsome platformer with intuitive controls, varied gameplay fueled by different traversal methods, pitch-perfect sound and music design, and highly advanced graphics tech, to the point that there were moments when even a jaded, malicious patch of embittered dungeon slime like myself could occasionally go, gosh, that's actually rather impressive, splurp splurp. I went out of my way to rescue every single bot in the game, partly because I was just plain having fun, partly to see if there was one dressed like James Sunderland, and yet, endemic fancy particle effects aside, the game comes across as terribly old-fashioned. Much like Mario Galaxy itself, it feels like it came right out of the middle of the Wii era, right down to the horrible controller gimmicks. Thankfully, the options menu let me turn off the motion control bollocks, but it couldn't do anything about the bits where I was expected to blow into the microphone, running the risk of someone coming into my office unannounced and finding me attempting to orally stimulate my electronics. Do we really need a refresher on this, Sony? Controller gimmicks do the opposite of immersion. They put a glowing highlight on the fact that I am not an adorable squeaky robot saving the day. I'm a twat in a very cluttered office holding a massively overscoped lump of plastic. But that really is my only issue gameplay-wise. I might even like it more than Mario Galaxy. The jumping physics aren't as nuanced, but at least you don't spend the whole time having to listen to Charles Martinet making noises like he's getting rhythmically bollock stomped. Oh my god, Yahtzee liked it. There's finally a reason to buy a PS5. Alert the guard. Prep the parade horses. Hang on. Certain thoughts were nagging me about Astro Bot. There's no escaping the fact that this is a fairly blatantly masturbatory exercise on Sony's part. I mean, it's a game depicting a literal physical PS5 as a magical box of dreams, in which every past and present contact in Sony's Rolodex is forced to come out and take a selfie with it. And hey, I'm not one to judge someone else for being masturbatory, not without pangs of early onset arthritis in my one good wrist, but I wonder about the effectiveness of this as a marketing exercise. The overall statement, hey, isn't the PS5 great, it's got games like this one primarily about how the PS5 is great, strikes me as a bit of a circular argument, and Astro Bot did one thing for which I can never forgive it. It made me make a spreadsheet. I know, I'm going to have to go back into therapy now. Having compiled some data and checked through the PSN online store, I can now drop the following fact bomb. Of the roughly 101 individual game IPs referenced in Astro Bot, 20% of them, fully 1/5, cannot be bought or played on the PS5 in any form. A vast majority of the remainder are only playable thanks to PS4 backwards compatibility. You want to know how many of the referenced games strictly need a PS5 to play? Two games. One game for every testicle in Sony's boardroom. Oh, hang on, I forgot Returnal's on Steam now. One game, half a game per bollock. Astro Bot is good fun, but it's a celebration of Sony's past, not its present. I mean, what's to celebrate? You gonna add any little bots dressed like Concord characters anytime soon? Probably not, because they'd look like total bellends, but that's besides the point. It's not gonna change the PS5 status in my house as mostly a dust-gathering machine, grudgingly brought out for an exclusive every 6 months or so, with Xbox having switched to making what amount to gaming PCs that don't come with keyboards, and Nintendo forever in its little bubble, contentedly smashing its toys together in what's basically a handheld with a loft conversion. Sony are in the slightly sad position of trying to keep the console war going in the cutting-edge tech sector when no one else has bothered to show up. It's gotta feel like a fucking hollow victory, but if they're gonna throw themselves a victory party, we might as well enjoy it. It's a fun party. Come along, have some good food, listen to the band, catch up with old friends. Just make sure you leave before someone completely kills the mood by asking Cole McGrath bot what he's up to these days.
This video is brought to you by GameMaker, the free, fast, and easy-to-use 2D game engine that helps power modern classics like Undertale, Hotline Miami, and Hyper Light Drifter. Starter templates, official asset bundles, and a wealth of tutorials are available to help bring your ideas to life. And you can export and share your game for free on all non-console platforms. But you don't have to take my word for it, I'm just some jerk. We have an actual bona fide game maker on hand.
Oh shit, that's me. Yes, I've been using GameMaker for a long time. It's probably the most powerful and easiest to use engine for making 2D games out there, suitable for both amateurs and hardcore coders, and with all the Steam and console integration stuff for when you're ready to start monetizing your hobbies. I used it to make my recently released game, Starstruck Vagabond, which has already delighted thousands of sci-fi cozy game aficionados, thanks to GameMaker being so bloody great.
Head on over to the GameMaker link in the description to begin your game development journey today.